Okay, I chose the Italian proverb. It says, "I felt despair, though it seems to me now there's two kinds of it: the sort that causes a person to surrender, and then the sort I had, which made me take risks and make plans." For me, I always want to take risks and make plans, but sometimes we all need to surrender. Sometimes we don't have control over everything and need to let it go. Not everything can be done, and that is okay, but taking risks is what life is about. Without risk, you wouldn't be able to do the things you want to do, and after all, risk can keep a life exciting. It goes both ways. You either take a risk or surrender, never both, never in between. It is okay to surrender, and it's also okay to take a risk. Taking risks is what gets you to make more accomplishments in your life and to do better in your life. And also, it can actually be kind of fun in a way in your life. If you take risks, it's more exciting and it's better, but sometimes it's okay to surrender. Not everything is in our control. We have to surrender or else we would go crazy if we didn't. Like for example, like people that probably never surrender are like doctors or nurses, because if they surrender, then the consequences are bigger. Like they might lose a life that's not theirs, and that they can't surrender. They have to keep fighting and take risks. But for someone that might surrender, like for me, I'm a server, and so if I'm fighting with a customer, not exactly fighting, but if a customer is arguing with me, I can't necessarily take a risk and tell them they're wrong. I have to just surrender and say, okay, like you're right. Um, that's there's nothing I can do. I just have to say you're right because the customer's always right. Um, it is when they say I felt despair. It is pretty rough because sometimes if you take risks, you get a negative outcome, but then sometimes if you surrender, you get a negative outcome. So most of the time, when you take risks, it can end up well, but risks are very risky, so you have a risk of getting really bad negative problems. And then if you surrender, you'll have to go through life knowing like you surrendered and you didn't have the chance to do what you did. Um, Also, surrendering just you always have to once in a while, but you never should a lot, especially in school or work, because when you surrender, like I said, you won't know what would have happened if you didn't surrender. Like it could have been a positive thing, and if it was a negative thing, you learn from it. A lot of people go through risk and surrendering, and it's really hard for people to comprehend on what they should do because I think a lot of people are scared and just won't do it. But in the end, you'll learn from it if it does go wrong. But if it goes right, then you would be very happy that you actually did take the risk. So that's how I feel about it. I love to take risks, but sometimes I surrender. Everyone does. Everyone does it. It's a normal thing. Um, some people might take more risks than others. Some people might surrender more than others. It just depends on the person.